So welcome everyone to week 5 of the Repicture program. Today we're going to be talking about preparing your presentation. Next week is a big opportunity for you to present, and we're going to talk about, this week is going to be talking about helping you get to the point where you feel comfortable presenting. I actually first want to start with a little story though, and that story is about a coworker of mine. Her name was Emily. And when I got to know Emily, she was only about 2 years out of college, and she was a coastal engineer. So as a coastal engineer, Emily did a lot of complicated modeling work. Differential equations is a big part of coastal engineering modeling. But when Emily talked, she didn't talk about the differential equations. She talked about waves and the movements of waves and how the crest moves and stuff like that. And Emily is and was a really, really good presenter. And I really enjoyed listening to her present. She has done very well in her career, because she's very good at presenting. And I once asked Emily, like, how did you get so good at presenting? And her response was actually that she actually spent a summer as a tour guide where she had to actually work for tips. And she worked for tips through the tour guide and presenting to the general public. And through that experience of doing it all summer, she was able to really hone her presentation skills. And these are skills that have now helped her significantly, as a coastal engineer. And so you all probably are not spending this summer, as a tour guide talking to the public for tips, but we are trying to give you an opportunity next week to practice your communication skills so that you can also have a very successful career like Emily based on your ability to present. So we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about your presentation next week, which is your assignment next week to give a 5-minute presentation. We're really excited to have Jody back, and many of you now have talked to Jody through the coaching, but she's going to talk about how to address presentation anxiety if you have it. Now, I know not everyone's anxious to give a presentation, and that's fine, but if you have some anxiety, Jody's going to kind of help you, give you some ideas on how to address that. We'll do an exercise regarding the presentation, and then I'll talk about the other week 5 assignments. For those of you indicating that you're interested in doing another team assignment, stay on and we'll have you connect with your teammates. So again, next week, you're going to be given a presentation, and it's a really unique opportunity. It's really a fun opportunity. Hope you all take advantage of really this unique opportunity. And so your assignment is going to be to give a live presentation. If you choose not to give a live presentation, we can create a video, and it's a 5-minute presentation about a STEM project. If you are part of a team, it could be 8 minutes if it's a two-person team. I know last week, for those of you who completed the assignment, you indicated what you wanted to do. For those who indicated a team, we'll get back to you on that. But you will have the opportunity actually to change that. So those of you said you want to create a video, we're hoping you'll change your mind after you hear today's presentation to a live presentation, which will be recorded, and you'll be able to put it up on your profile. But there's going to be a lot of advantages to doing it live. But again, if you can, I know some of you are doing this all asynchronous. To those of you watching on the video. So if you can't give it live, we understand that. You can do your video, but hopefully some of you might choose to actually change to do it live. So if you want to know what some example videos, you can actually look at some of last year's. So if you go to our YouTube channel, Repicture, go to our YouTube channel, you can just Google Repicture on YouTube and you'll find it. You can see some of the past years. But I really encourage you to be creative. Don't try to copy what someone else did last year. Be as creative as you'd like, especially if you end up doing a video instead of a live presentation. You can get very creative, and we're really looking forward to maybe seeing some really interesting creative videos. So why are we doing this? Why is it important? Like I said, with Emily, it's really been an important part of her career to be able to talk to the public and present very effectively. You all probably think as a scientist or engineer, you might be presenting at technical conferences, and that's very true. You really want to be, especially as you want to be seen as an expert, you want to present to technical conferences. But there's a lot of other reasons that you may be asked to present. Presenting to win new work. And that was often the differentiator, how people actually got ahead in their career, is being very good at presenting that would help them actually win new work. And so if you can bring work in, you can then do the work. So That's a really important skill to be able to present, to bring the work in. But also you need to present your results of your research of your project. You might spend a lot of time creating the material, but then often you need to present it, whether you're presenting to the public, you're presenting it to, your client. So you often do need to present the results of the work you're doing as a scientist or engineer or a computer scientist, and also present to your team. You hopefully we've stressed the fact that as STEM professionals, you work with teams. You often need to present to your teams. So there's a lot of important reasons to continue to expand and improve your presentation skills. So for the presentation you're all going to do, it's going to be a STEM project, but it's wide open what STEM project you present on. It could be an interest project, just so you're interested in. You can present a project about a project you worked on. You can also be a project for those of you who did an interview. You could do a presentation about the interview project. So really the only criteria is that it is a STEM project, but you have flexibility on what you present on. The other thing though is it needs to be either something you've already published on Repicture, or it needs to be a new project that you do publish on Repicture. And we want it to be a project on Repicture so we can actually link your presentation to a project page. So again, you've created a couple projects now on Repicture, it could be that. I know last year a lot of people were interested in learning about new projects, expanding their horizons, and most of them actually identified a new project to present. But if you do that, just make sure that you do create a project page on Repicture so that we can post your video there. So again, benefits of presentation, it just, practicing one of those most important skills, but also it's something that you can put on your Repicture profile, and you can use this to show future employers, you can show colleges, an actual example of what you did. So here's an example of one of our students from last year that she actually could put on her applications, see my presentation that I did on renewable energy. And to let you know, as a result of the presentation she gave this presentation to professionals. I actually had a professional say, hey, I want to learn more about what she did, and asked me to connect with the student. So it's also kind of a way to connect with professionals. Our live presentations will be on Thursday. So instead of having a panel discussion next Thursday, not this Thursday, but next week, we'll have the live presentations. Or if you do choose to do a video, it will be due on next Thursday. So we're giving you more time on this, but things are going to be due on Thursday versus the typical Monday. For those of you given live presentations on the 28th, again, it will be a 5-minute presentation. Attending days will be STEM professionals. Like I said, this is kind of a way to get the word out for you STEM professionals. Fellow and past students, so all of you, whether you're presenting live or not, this counts as one of the sessions that you need to attend. So all of you past and current students will be there. And then we really encourage you to invite your friends and family. And we'll be posting a flyer and an Eventbrite invitation on the classroom where you can basically share your information with your friends and family. And so please invite them. You've done a lot of work. Family and friends are probably wondering what you've been doing this summer, and this is really an opportunity to show them what you've been doing. For the benefits of giving a live presentation on the 28th, again, if you have already indicated what your plans are, you do have an opportunity to change those if you'd like. But there's a benefit of networking, or benefit of presenting live is really an opportunity to network with STEM professionals. So we had a student last year who presented on that project, the energy project, and a STEM professional contacted me, said, I was really interested in the presentation you did. Can you introduce me to her? And they basically have since connected to talk about that energy project. So I believe they've connected to talk about the energy project. So again, it's a really unique opportunity to connect with STEM professionals. Presenting live also gives you the ability, you can put your presentation on your resume, but to be able to say on your resume or college application that you presented on whatever the name of your project is to STEM professionals, that's really a unique opportunity to be able to say that. So, really kind of unique that you can say that it was actually 2 STEM professionals that you presented to. Another opportunity is to gain that experience and get out of your comfort zone. I know some of you are, probably chose not to go live because of that, like comfort or whatever. And best way to get out get out of your comfort zone. The more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you're going to gain that confidence. And last year, many of our students said it was one of the best parts of the program was doing that live presentation. So I encourage everyone to consider, giving a live presentation. So it's going to be 5 minutes if you do individually. If you are part of a team, it'll basically 8 minutes, or asking that each presenter present at least 3 to 5 minutes of the presentation. The topic, again, it can be a topic, it can be anything, but make sure it's something that you're interested in. You don't want to spend the next week and a half, presenting on something you're not interested in. So make sure it's something you're interested in, and then make sure that you have enough information about that item so you can talk about it for 5 minutes, although you'll find 5 minutes goes really quick. For those doing the live presentation, we suggest you use PowerPoint or Google Slide. And the reason we're saying that is most professional presentations are using, PowerPoint or Google Slides. And remember, in those slides, pictures are better than words. Try to minimize the number of words you have on your slides. And we'll go for more about slides tomorrow. For those of you that choose to do a video option, you can do the PowerPoint or Google Slides, but you also have an opportunity to be totally creative. And I guess that's one of the benefits of the video is, you can choose what you want to do with that video. Again, it's 5 minutes. You want to practice several times to make sure that you're under that 5 minutes. And then we're also going to have opportunities to practice. But making sure you get your presentation to allotted time is really important. So there's professional presentations, professional conferences I talked to you about. They have set times. And if you go over that time, they'll say thank you and kind of get you at the hook, get you off the stage. So it's really important to kind of practice and know how long it's going to take. So be aware of that 5 minute requirement. So how long? What is a 5 minute presentation? It's about 600 to 750 words. It's short enough that it might help you to actually write out what you plan to say. But you don't have to say exactly what you write, and don't just read your presentation, but it's a good way to kind of feel comfortable with what you're going to say. And typically you're going to have 5 to 10 slides. 10 is the actual max. 5 is probably even, probably the ideal amount. So don't think you have to do a lot of slides. And if you create more than 10 slides, you're probably not going to be able to fit that in 5 minutes. When you're giving a presentation, your target audience is going to be someone who knows nothing about your project, and there is no required outline or format for it, but just one possible outline. Again, you can do whatever outline works for you, but just really quickly, given some type of quick introduction, kind of get a hook, get people interested, maybe introduce yourself and the project, give a summary of what you're going to say. So you always want to say, what you're going to say. You have time for 2, maybe 3 main points, and then summary and wrap up. So in 5 minutes, again, there's not going to be that much that you can cover. Again, you can change to do a live presentation to indicate this week's submission. We'll basically do breakouts. Right now, we have about enough students for 2 different breakouts. We might do 3 or 4 if depending upon the number of students that present on Thursday. And basically, no one regretted doing a live presentation last year, at least no one that I know of. So again, I know it can feel daunting, but it's a great experience. There's lots of help available. Tomorrow, we're going to go over how to create a great presentation. We'll work on helping you develop a presentation plan, some ideas on your topics, your main points. This Friday, it's totally optional, but if you want to email us, you need to email it to us by this Friday, your draft slides. Email to peermentors@repicture.com, and we'll provide some comments early next week. But if you want, those detailed comments, you need to provide it by Friday. But next week we have the option you can come to the drop-in and ask to get feedback then. Next Tuesday, everyone in the class program needs to be ready to give your presentation next Tuesday. Whether you plan on doing a video or live, you need to be ready to give that on Tuesday. We then on Wednesday, we'll do a dress rehearsal for those doing the live presentations. We'll do a dress rehearsal. We'll actually do the breakouts and really go through it as if it was a live presentation. And then there's always support you can get from our peer mentors or Jody. You can sign up for Jody. I think some of her slots are filling up, but we'll make sure if you've asked for support, we'll try to provide it. Again, due dates is the live presentation will be on Thursday. Everyone needs to attend on the 28th, even if you're not presenting. And then if you're doing a video, that will also be due on next Thursday, the 28th. And again, we're here to help. Even if it's just prep talk, we're here. Prep talk, we're here to help. Summary deadlines is your assignment, which will include your presentation plan will be due on Monday. That will include having your slides. Your slides should be done submitted on Tuesday. Monday on Tuesday. Everyone needs to be ready to give your presentation. So don't just start thinking about it next Tuesday. You need to actually be ready to give it. Wednesday, we'll do that dress rehearsal for Thursday. And the main thing is to have fun. Have fun with your presentation. It should be, people really enjoy listening to what you have to say. So enjoy giving it. And with that, I'm going to just ask if people have put in chat if they have any questions. And yes, we lost connections. If there are any questions on the assignment, if not, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Jody is actually going to give some help on for those of you who might have some anxiety about giving a presentation. She'll give you some tips.
So I'm going to be talking about a difficult and touchy subject, and it's anxiety. So while I'm going to be talking about the case of nerves that so many of us get while having to talk in front of a group, even on Zoom or before an audience, many of the tips that I'm going to suggest will help you with managing anxiety in many aspects of your life where anxiety might be a problem. Sound good? Okay, so here we go. Google says that up to 77% of adults have a fear of public speaking. I once took a public speaking class by a guy who said he was so afraid of public speaking, he couldn't even stand the thought of leading a group in silent prayer. And I could tell you that I felt exactly the way that this guy felt. Here we go. Oh my goodness. There's even a name for this. I looked it up. It's glossophobia. Fear of public speaking is as common as the fear of death. I had a friend in college when it was time to present our senior thesis. She said that she'd rather die than get up in front of the class. So if you're worried about giving your final presentation, instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" consider the more appropriate statement. What's right with me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm only human after all. Anxiety was a great evolutionary trait for a time, fight or flight, right? It taught us to run like hell away from that bear that was chasing us. Anxiety boosted our adrenaline and gave us that extra edge to get up that tree, right? Whoops, losing my presentation here. Okay, but now we want to say, hey, evolution, we got it about racing up the tree. Now, can you do something about public speaking feeling like a bear chase? Unfortunately, evolution is not caught up. So here are my top tips on public speaking. Be prepared. Write out everything you're going to say. A lot of people worry that their mind is just going to go blank when it's time to speak. So while you'd like to give a dynamic, eloquent, off-the-cuff presentation, you're not competing for an Academy Award here. Remember that you can always read your speech. I belong to a synagogue where the rabbi always has his sermons printed out. He flips pages, when it's time to go to the next section of his sermon, and nobody thinks less of him. In fact, people love this guy. I've even seen presidents of the United States do it. The point is, if you are prepared, most likely you won't have to read all of your talk, but know that this is an option and it's a very good one. Okay. Also, know that your talk does not have to be perfect. Here's a newsflash. If you make a mistake, chances are really high that nobody else is going to know. Remember, time is on your side. You may be nervous before your presentation or during the first minute, but chances are the nerves will quickly dissipate. And in no time at all, you'll feel comfortably in charge of the situation. I doubt that nerves dissipate when a bear is chasing you. So maybe human evolution is working after all. Let your slides do the talking for you, okay? If you're using PowerPoint, create slides that are robust and have your major points listed. That way you can basically read the slides and it makes it much easier for you. Some people suggest that a larger audience makes them more nervous. I've seen it suggested that you try looking just above the audience. It will look like you're making eye contact with them, but you're actually looking above them. And in place of being nervous, imagine something that's very calming. Here's another tip. My mother, God bless her, used to tell me to imagine that my audience is naked or in their pajamas at the very least. It kind of was like an equalizer. Okay. Visualize yourself giving the presentation. This is before you're giving the presentation. Imagine yourself calmly in front of your audience. Okay. Be your own cheerleader. Instead of chanting, I'm so scared, leading up to your presentation, chant to yourself, I've totally got this. I've totally got this. It's your own power of suggestion. Okay, here's another one. Practice, practice, practice. First by yourself, then see if you can get a family member or a friend to listen. This is where your dog, your cat, your goldfish come in handy. They are very good listeners. You can make them be your audience over and over again, and they won't mind in the least. All right, now we're going to focus on some relaxation techniques. Deep breathing and other types of breathing exercises, visualization, progressive muscle relaxation. These can all be very helpful. If you are not well-versed yet in these relaxation techniques, I can't emphasize enough that now is the time in your life to learn them. Basically, these are all forms of meditation. They can help you to quiet your mind. So instead of your brain saying, oh my God, I'm going to die up there, you can focus on each in and out breath, each rise and fall of your chest, and the sensation of your breath passing through your nostrils. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, okay? The reason why meditation works, and again, I wish I started doing this at your age. It's much harder to learn it at my age. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity. A lot of you have told me that you want to be neuroscientists. Here's one area of study where we can all benefit from your help. Neuroplasticity is the ability of neural networks in the brain to change through growth and reorganization. It's when the brain is rewired to function in some way that differs from how it previously functioned. So if it previously functioned in anxiety mode, meditation through neuroplasticity helps you to function more in calm mode. When you meditate, by whatever method you choose, you're wiring your brain to go from anxious to calm. Believe me, the calm feels much better. Now, you can't just make this happen overnight. It will take weeks, months, or even years of practice, but it is an investment that will pay off. Let's say it's finals week in college. Would you rather be freaking out about it and be miserable, or try some exercise that may just make you a teeny tiny bit calmer? This is what I have to say about it. What have you got to lose? Okay. If you're like me, your brain, and I hope your brain doesn't operate like my brain. I trade it. But your brain is in constant chatter mode, like you're constantly having conversations in my own head. When it was first suggested to me that I meditate, I really laughed at the idea. I was very snooty about it. Calm my mind, I wish. But you know what? Even for me, meditation can have, can make some difference, even if it's minute. Hey, the way I figure it, it's better to be minutely less anxious than minutely more anxious. So chew on that for a while. I think it makes a lot of sense. There are tons of meditation apps out there, and Acai is going to put them in, some of them in the chat for you. Calm is one. Sanvelo is another one. I've tried all of these. And Headspace. Okay. Each one offers a few guided exercises for free. Then you have to pay for the rest of the stuff through subscription. I recommend that you try all of these and see what you like. I subscribed to Headspace for a year, and several months into it, the narrator's voice really got on my nerves. For this reason, pre-recorded stuff tends not to work so well for me because I generally don't like people telling me what to do. I know that's kind of with meditation, I should break the rule for that. But anyway, that's the truth. Here's my favorite online resource because it's absolutely free. And Acai is going to put this again in the chat. Oh, and we're getting the comment that there's some Headspace videos on Netflix too. Great, thanks for that comment. The one that he's putting in this chat are from Dartmouth College, the Student Wellness Center. I've listened to all of them. There's many that you can choose from. Like I said, they're all free, and I recommend that you try them. In my discussions with all of you, nobody has mentioned going to Dartmouth, but after this, it might change your mind. There's also a lot of meditation DVDs out there. Yes, I know you're probably laughing at me. This is ancient technology, but check out your library. Here's some names also for the chat. Pema Chaudron, I don't know that that's the correct pronunciation of her name. Brene Brown and many others have gotten rich off this stuff, and rightly so. Again, it's all about you. Yes, I see that Acai is putting that, and Brene Brown is the other one. But there's many of them out there, and just try the stuff that's free and see what you like. So I want to use this time right now, there's no time like the present, to try a popular breathing exercise that I like for reducing anxiety. It involves a counting sequence, and I'll tell you what the counting sequence is. The reason I like the counting is counting the numbers sort of helps to drown out the other chatter that's going on in my head. But it goes like this, okay? In through your nose for a count of 4. You're going to hold that for a count of 7, and then breathe out for a count of 8. When you breathe in through your nose, make the inhale breath move down to your belly. This is called abdominal breathing. When you exhale, purse your lips and make a slight whistling sound. Now, if you get lightheaded while doing this, it's probably because you didn't take a deep enough breath on that initial inhale, okay? You can keep your eyes open or shut. And if you keep them open, find a place to kind of stare. I think you should try it both ways, eyes closed and eyes open. And the reason I kind of like the eyes open is because that way, if you're sitting in a class and you're feeling anxious, or it's right before getting up to give a presentation, you can do this exercise and nobody's even going to know that you're doing it. Okay, so then here we go. Let's do one round together. We're going to do a deep inhale on the count of 4. Hold your breath in your gut to a count of 7, and then a slow and steady exhale, okay? We'll do this 10 times or until I lose count, okay? So again, inhale, hold, exhale. Okay, I'm going to cut that a bit short because I didn't realize how long 10 of these would feel like. And when I finish my presentation, I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether that exercise helped for you. Again, these things have to be practiced over and over again. I also want you to hear, just as a sample, a 1-minute meditation from Headspace. Saeed has assured me he can make this work, and this is one of their free offerings.
So sitting comfortably, just taking a big deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you breathe in, noticing how the body expands. As you breathe out, just watching the body soften as you gently close the eyes. And rather than the mind leading the breath, allow the breath to lead the mind. Notice the sensation of the breath. Notice it where you feel it in the body. If you need to, you can just gently place your hand on the stomach. And just following that rising and falling sensation. Nothing else to do. Allowing thoughts to come and go. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
Thank you. So I hope that gave you, just a bit more of an idea of what some of these tools are like out there. So I invite you to explore all of these resources of your own. And then, of course, I'd also like to hear your suggestions on things that you may have found that are helpful. So I think the most powerful tool for calming nerves tools are affirmation statements, also known as positive self-talk. I can't overemphasize the importance of this. Okay, the main reason that we worry or get anxious is because as human beings, we are very good at telling ourselves lies about ourselves and believing them. For example, okay, when I get up to speak, I'm going to faint, or nothing will come out of my mouth, or everyone will think I am stupid, or if I don't do well of this, I won't be able to get into college. So my question is, do you have any proof that any of these things are true? Absolutely not, yet they resonate within us as very powerful truths. Here are the more truthful statements. I know the subject I'm talking about. I have prepared and practiced my presentation. I am a good student and I will be successful at getting into college or getting a job. My classmates are not thinking about me. They're worried about giving their own presentations, okay? Use affirmation statements as often as you can in day-to-day living. Post sticky notes in your bedroom or your bathroom mirror. And keep 3x5 cards in your wallet. Read them often. And I suggest reading them out loud. Let's try some truthful affirmation statements that you can put on a sticky note or put in your wallet on a 3x5 card. I am a person of worth. Okay. I am strong. I am determined. I am capable. I am loved. I will succeed. Write any affirmation statements that resonate with you. Read them over and over again and believe them. Okay. Next, the good news is that the more you practice speaking in front of a group, the more comfortable you're likely to become. But be aware that you're likely to always experience some jitters. It's the way that our bodies prepare for action. I bet if you asked LeBron if he gets jitters before a big game, or maybe Lady Gaga, if she gets jitters on the red carpet, the answer is likely to be a resounding yes. Now, here's the most important thing I'm going to tell you about anxiety. And I don't want you to forget this, not ever. If you are experiencing anxiety on a regular basis, and it's interfering with the quality of your life and how you feel about yourself, the bravest thing that you can do is be honest with yourself and get the help that you deserve. Okay? My son, I wish I could repeat that 5 or 10 times if we had time, but be good to yourself. My son, ironically, is a psychotherapist. And I've told many of you this in our discussion. He specializes in child and adolescent therapy. And no, I wish I could put his contact information in big bold letters in the chat, but he only practices in Maryland. I was at a community, spoken like the proud mother. I was at a community festival recently, and I stopped by a booth on mental health. And they gave me, see if you can see it, they gave me this button. Can you see it? Okay, and it says here that we should talk about it. Stop the stigma on mental health awareness. You know, I've seen buttons like this for decades of my life, and I wish it was so obvious a statement that we really didn't need buttons for it. But I want you to imagine that I'm giving this button to you as a gift. And yeah, I want you to have it. If you are not feeling yourself, see a doctor. You may have a medical condition that's affecting you neurologically. It's important to get to the bottom of this. If there's no underlying medical condition, fine. See a therapist for counseling. It's a gift that you can give to yourself. Anxiety and related ailments are a national epidemic. You are all people of great talent, and I've seen it in you. Absolutely, when I talk to you, absolutely unlimited potential. And the world needs you to be healthy, both physically and emotionally. This is what I can tell you. Be good to yourself. Take care of yourself. You are worth it. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about this topic and meet with so many of you one-on-one. I've learned so much from all of you, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And now I'd certainly like this to open this up to a lively discussion. So we're a pretty small group, and I'd love to, open this up. I appreciate those of you who have cameras on. And if we could get even more cameras on, because they already know what you look like, then that would be a wonderful thing. So we could have a discussion. Thank you, Olu. Anybody else? Kuze, I know you're there, just spoke to you. Yep. Anybody else? I so appreciate this. Hi, Brenda. Okay, well, I understand if some of you can't. What are your thoughts on feeling anxious about giving a presentation? Oh, thank you so much. Hi, Joshua. So glad to see so many of you. What are your thoughts on managing anxiety for a presentation or any time? And were any of these tips useful to you? Did they resonate with you? Nobody's resonating? Well, what ideas do you have? Turning anxiety into excitement and enthusiasm helps. Great idea. Yeah, great idea. So I think part of that goes with connecting with your purpose. If you are lucky enough to be able to really have a connection with what you're talking about, then you kind of say, wow, I really want to tell other people about this. I really want to inspire them. So yeah, that really helps. Yeah. What other ideas? What did you think of the breathing exercise? The 4-7-8.
I think, yeah, that's the kind of, I've had that kind of breathing exercise before. It's just kind of to maybe not for even presentations, but just kind of like stop and center yourself when a lot of stuff is happening.
Absolutely.
Kind of just a way to feel like I can't think about anything else right now. I'm just gonna sit and like, yeah, basically just stop for a second.
I appreciate that input. That's could be helpful to other people as well. I mean, if you're on the subway, you can do it, you know, if you're driving in your car, you can do it. And hey, again, even if these things help to a minute degree, it's better than revving yourself up another minute degree, right?
Another thing, or I don't know, sorry. I did a lot of presentations this last year in school because of how things were going. And I think one of the things that I found for the presentations that I went into when I was like feeling excited was just going in with like, again, you know, everyone else is giving a presentation. So, you know, yeah, they're all thinking about their own thing. And also, like, nobody there hates me. They're all like kind of friends anyway. So like, no one's gonna be like, wow, you were so stupid. I can't believe you could even think about talking about that or something. Or like, I can't believe like you couldn't like, you didn't mention this one thing. They don't know what you were gonna talk about anyway.
Right, exactly. Exactly. We rev ourselves up so much, you know, and then afterwards you can say, what was I so worked up about, you know? Any other thoughts? I won't treat this discussion like dental extraction if everybody else would rather call it an afternoon.
You do have a couple chat comments.
Oh,
I can
okay.
see those, Jody.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I think I saw them as we went. But so Olu said that the breathing was good, helps to calm down and think clearly. I use the app Calm on occasions, but I usually resort to positive nihilism to address my anxiety-induced stress. Joshua, could you introduce me to that term? Nihilism?
So nihilism is like a sort of
I'm sorry, I need your volume up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better.
Nihilism is like a sort of a philosophy that basically it's not life is meaningless. It's more of it's kind of like, since you know the grand scheme of things and how we're all so small compared to the universe, so it kind of makes the problems that you have in your life a little bit less of a burden than you usually think it is. So it makes me it helps me at least when I take a big look at things and see that it's just my problems right now and here and now, because I don't think of problems I had 2 years ago. So that's how I usually take
Is,
on
is there a certain reading that you recommend on the subject?
I
But I
mean, I
guess
know,
it's in the chat and everybody can look it up to get more information.
I mean, if you check out nihilism books, you can
Mhm.
find it. But I know Nietzsche, he does nihilism too.
Okay, good, good. Okay, great. Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, round of applause for Jody. That was great.
Well, it's not an easy subject, and I really wanted to go beyond presentation and sort of get deep down and personal, because this is a very, very serious subject, and probably becoming more so almost by the day, you know, handling anxiety in people's lives. So, and I care about all of you, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great point. Everything you talked about is not just presentation, but it's good for life. Yeah, so that's great. What we'll do, because we're coming up the top of the hour, I talked about mentioning next week's assignments. We'll actually go over that. Actually, let's go ahead and we'll do that. I think I can do this pretty quickly. So I know people are anxious to get going on their assignments. So we will skip the exercise we're going to do, but we will talk about this week's assignments. I'll try to go relatively quickly. And first thing I wanted to remind everyone is that you need to complete and submit all your assignments. And it's not too late to catch up. You have until, to the end to submit and complete everything. And why you want to do that? You want to do that because all of our assignments have really been designed specifically to help you with your ultimate goal of succeeding in your career. So you want to get the most of the program. You also want to get that certificate of completion. So please submit that. And you want to be qualified for that $500 drawing. So again, if you haven't submitted something, it's not too late. I encourage you to do that. For this week assignments is we're going to ask you to spend some time improving your project write-ups, especially if you remember way back to week 2, you didn't really know that much about how to create a good project write-up. And now you've had more time to do that. So we're giving you some time to actually go back to week 2 and previous weeks and just improve those assignments. For those of you who had a discussion with professional, we're going to asking you or suggesting that you basically send them a thank you. And then if you wrote up a project, include a link to that project to them and ask them for any comments and things like that. It's a great way to connect. I think Pamela talked about that in the session we had last week. She wrote up her assignment, she sent it on to the professional who gave her comments and gave her kudos type thing. So taking advantage of that. We also know some of you just, with time and things like that, I know especially because it's summer and people on vacation that you might have wanted to talk to. Some of you we know weren't able to connect with the professional. It's totally fine. What we're going to do is actually give an alternative assignment for those of you who weren't actually able to connect with the professional. So we're asking all of you to actually this Friday at the same time, same link, 1 o'clock Pacific, you're going to have an opportunity to interview our peer mentors. And we're requiring you basically to get it complete for this assignment. You need to ask our peer mentors at least one question. There's going to be a group of you there, so make sure you have a couple of questions. We'll send you an email, but you can look at their repicture profiles to learn more about them. They're college students for those in school. We have Jim is actually a college graduate for those maybe in college. So you can ask them about college, their majors, their plans, things like that. If you can't make Friday, so you couldn't do the write-up and you can't make Friday, just email us at peermentors@repicture, and we'll make another assignment. So you have that experience of interviewing someone that we can do in your schedule. The other is you all wrote, everyone who submitted last week wrote a note to a person on Repicture. If you submitted it on time, we went and reviewed the notes. It was really interesting. You got some really good notes. So we're asking you to update your note, and if you know the person, you can forward the note to them. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll actually forward the note to the person you indicated. We won't share your email, but we'll let them know that you're interested, you know, in the question. We'll basically forward the email you had. If they respond, we'll, you know, forward that response to them. So please make sure you update your note if we had a comment on it. Again, great job on the notes. And then lastly is a presentation plan. We want you to spend a lot of this week thinking about that presentation next week. Tomorrow, we'll actually go through the presentation plan, what types of things you should be thinking about. You can think about your topics already, but some of the other things we'll go over that tomorrow so you can complete your presentation plan. And so with that, we're just 2 minutes over, and sorry for the technical problems we had before, but are there any questions? And if not, for those of you who wanted to do a team project again this week, you can stay on to meet with your team. Otherwise, we'll see people tomorrow. We'll give you some more information about how you're going to make an awesome presentation next week.